I've been walking around to some of the booths and some of the ways that people are using MCP, and agentic AI has been really fun to see. It's giving me great ideas. The creativity is like really inspiring.
Things are moving so fast, and you really just need to be in it. We've got a lot of thought leadership going on with people who are like in the trenches actually working with this technology. We're all working hard to solve the same problems.
There's a seat at the table for everyone. We're all learning together. It's such a cool moment in technology where there aren't these old experts and things because it's all being invented around us. So I would say, get out there and just start talking to people and see what you learn.
Welcome to the MCP Dev Summit event, where builders, visionaries, and contributors all get together to build a future of agentic AI.
This is where the architecture of the future is being built today. Within 5 minutes of conversation, you feel validated or you have new questions to ask. It's just been so enriching to be here.
I've been walking around to some of the booths and some of the ways that people are using MCP, and agentic AI has been really fun to see. It's giving me great ideas. The creativity is like really inspiring.
Things are moving so fast, and you really just need to be in it. We've got a lot of thought leadership going on with people who are like in the trenches actually working with this technology. We're all working hard to solve the same problems.
There's a seat at the table for everyone. We're all learning together. It's such a cool moment in technology where there aren't these old experts and things because it's all being invented around us. So I would say, get out there and just start talking to people and see what you learn.
Welcome to the MCP Dev Summit event, where builders, visionaries, and contributors all get together to build a future of agentic AI.
This is where the architecture of the future is being built today. Within 5 minutes of conversation, you feel validated or you have new questions to ask. It's just been so enriching to be here.
I've been walking around to some of the booths and some of the ways that people are using MCP, and agentic AI has been really fun to see. It's giving me great ideas. The creativity is like really inspiring.
Things are moving so fast, and you really just need to be in it. We've got a lot of thought leadership going on with people who are like in the trenches actually working with this technology. We're all working hard to solve the same problems.
There's a seat at the table for everyone. We're all learning together. It's such a cool moment in technology where there aren't these old experts and things because it's all being invented around us. So I would say, get out there and just start talking to people and see what you learn.
Welcome to the MCP Dev Summit event, where builders, visionaries, and contributors all get together to build a future of agentic AI.
This is where the architecture of the future is being built today. Within 5 minutes of conversation, you feel validated or you have new questions to ask. It's just been so enriching to be here.
I've been walking around to some of the booths and some of the ways that people are using MCP, and agentic AI has been really fun to see. It's giving me great ideas. The creativity is like really inspiring.
Things are moving so fast, and you really just need to be in it. We've got a lot of thought leadership going on with people who are like in the trenches actually working with this technology. We're all working hard to solve the same problems.
There's a seat at the table for everyone. We're all learning together. It's such a cool moment in technology where there aren't these old experts and things because it's all being invented around us. So I would say, get out there and just start talking to people and see what you learn.
Welcome to the MCP Dev Summit events, where builders, visionaries, and contributors all get together to build a future of agentic AI.
This is where the architecture of the future is being built today. Within 5 minutes of conversation, you feel validated or you have new questions to ask. It's just been so enriching to be here.
I've been walking around to some of the booths and some of the ways that people are using MCP, and agentic AI has been really fun to see. It's giving me great ideas, the creativity. Activities like really inspiring.
Things are moving so fast, and you really just need to be in it. We've got a lot of thought leadership going on with people who are like in the trenches actually working with this technology. We're all working hard to solve the same problems.
There's a seat at the table for everyone. We're all learning together. It's such a cool moment in technology where there aren't these old experts and things because it's all being invented around us. So I would say, get out there and just start talking to people and see what you learn.
Welcome to the MCP Dev Summit events, where builders, visionaries, and contributors all get together to build a future of agentic AI.
This is where the architecture of the future is being built today. Within 5 minutes of conversation, you feel validated or you have new questions to ask. It's just been so enriching to be here.
I've been walking around to some of the booths and some of the ways that people are using MCP, and agentic AI has been really fun to see. It's giving me great ideas. The creativity is like really inspiring.
Things are moving so fast, and you really just need to be in it. We've got a lot of thought leadership going on with people who are like in the trenches actually working with this technology. We're all working hard to solve the same problems.
There's a seat at the table for everyone. We're all learning together. It's such a cool moment in technology where there aren't these old experts and things because it's all being invented around us. So I would say, get out there and just start talking to people and see what you learn.
Welcome Welcome to the MCP Dev Summit event, where builders, visionaries, and contributors all get together to build the future of agentic AI.
Hello, everyone. What is happening? It is so cool to be here in Seoul. I just arrived. It's my first time. I'm absolutely in love with it. You all probably know about it because you probably live here, but I've noticed a few things that are incredible about this place already, and I gotta call them out because it's been too much fun. One is, I've met 4 people. I've gotten 5 business cards. There is a love for exchanging business cards. I didn't realize it is that big of a thing. I'm gonna bring my business card next time. The second thing is, I had to watch a 20-minute YouTube masterclass video on how to flush my toilet. These toilets are awesome, all right? I gotta say, there was a few surprises in there, but it was great. So, enough jokes. We're here at the MCP Dev Summit. It is really cool to be here. I wanna welcome everyone. We're kicking it off right. I wanna make sure that we do a few things before we get started, and I give you these opening remarks, and that is, one, we gotta give a huge shout out to our diamond sponsor, AWS. We also have to give a huge shout out to our platinum sponsor, Workado. And let's just make sure that we also, while we are shouting out people, give a shout out to these good folks who chose all of the talks. They had to go through hundreds of submissions. There were so many talks that were submitted, and they did the hard job of saying what gets on the slate and what is off of it, right? Amazing job. Huge thanks to everyone there. And now let's talk about what we're doing here. The Agentic AI Foundation is the foundation that is having this event right now. It's part of the Linux Foundation, and it is where the agentic stack is being built. This is very special because no single company owns what we're building here, right? And I don't know if you all realize how important that is, but I want to reiterate it because this unlocks so much. It unlocks open source, and it's really these open source ethos that we have. Now, before I jump into everything, I want to give you a who am I real fast in case you were wondering who's this guy that's making bad jokes on stage. I started the MLOps community back in 2020. I'm actually going to be your MC for the day, or you can call me the shaman. I am going to lead you and guide you through this journey on the talks in the morning stage. And so I started the MLOps community in 2020. What was it? Well, we did all these things. And what happened recently is that the MLOps community joined the Linux Foundation, and it's now the official user community of the Agentic AI Foundation. So, what's been happening with the Agentic AI Foundation since the inception back in the beginning of the year? Well, it's been cooking, all right? The numbers that I have on this screen are actually outdated already because I just heard that there's 2 more folks that joined as members, and that signifies something very special. Again, this is the power of open source. All of these folks are committed to making a home and making sure that this is where the agentic stack gets built, right? So special. So we want to give a huge shout out to some of the newest gold members. We've got Visa, Wells Fargo, and Alibaba. Alibaba specifically really investing in the APAC region, right? Now, this is the market map, if you will, of all of the members. Again, it's a little out of date, but it gives you a good idea of everyone that's in it. You can see that it's different verticals, it's different areas. There's so many companies involved in this. It's truly a team effort, and that's what's special. And so what about the protocols? What about this agentic stack that I keep talking about, right? What happens when you put one of these open source projects into the Agentic AI Foundation? Well, up and to the right, the graph that you always want to see when you are looking at graphs around projects. This is what happens. You get just incredible growth and adoption, and folks see this as a signal that this is open. This is what you have is very, very special. So when you get it to the foundation, people start to use it. Did I entice you to join yet? Well, if you've got a project, we made it very easy in case you want to look at donating it to the Agentic AI Foundation. We just updated the way that we intake all of the projects, and if you've been working on something and you think it's valuable, you think it's worth putting into the Agentic AI Foundation, there you go. That's the link. What else have we been doing? Well, we've got a whole lot of ambassadors that have been really working hard to spread the word about the Agentic AI Foundation. There's over 140, we've got 41 countries, 6 major regions. It's unbelievable to see. And what have they been doing? Well, actually, before I talk about what they've been doing, I got to give a few shout outs because there's some ambassadors here with us today. These folks are in the crowd. I know Anna is going to give a talk and a few keynotes forward, so that's exciting. If you see them, make sure to say hi and mention them. What have they been up to? Well, you want to talk about cooking. These folks have been contributing. They've been spreading the word. They've been getting it out, helping to showcase some of the best practices and the technical knowledge of these projects that I just talked about, right? It's like they've been doing a lot. They're this mini army just going out there and spreading technical knowledge. So one of the specific things that folks have done, and that is relevant to today, because we're at the MCP Dev Summit, is the recent release of the MCP 2.0 specs that came out, right? I want to talk about this stateless launch because the community rallied. They for sure showed up. There were 7 meetups that we had across the globe, and we had lead maintainers giving talks. People are still talking about this today, the new release, right? We're going to be talking about it a bunch today, actually. So this is a photo of one of those release parties. That's DSP, one of the creators of MCP in London, giving a talk. It was so cool to see the community rally around one idea, one project, and showcase everything that's new that's come out and how to use it, what to do about it. But beyond the meetup, we also had something very special, which is a whole lot of cake. We had to celebrate that there was this big release party, and we wanted to make it fun. So now, you've heard my pitch. Hopefully you're stoked on what we're doing. What do you want to do? What can you do next? Well, you've got these options. Just go to aaif.io, and you can see all the things we're doing because I don't have enough time to say everything about what we're doing. Or if you want some instant gratification, tonight, this evening, we have an attendee reception. Come, hang out, let's chat. You can get your networking on. We can share some business cards, and we can have some fun. All right? Enough of me blabbing, though. I know you all did not come here for some mediocre jokes. You came here to learn something. And our first keynote speaker is not going to disappoint. It's my pleasure to announce Mr. Den, who is a member of the technical staff, an actual technical staff member, to come up. He's working at Anthropic. Now he works on Claude Code, but before and currently, he is a maintainer, one of the lead maintainers of the MCP project. It's very special that we have him here, and I would love if you all give him a nice round of applause. Den, get up here, man. There you go, sir.
Thank you, thank you. I'm not entirely sure how I follow Demetrius on this because he has this vibe, but annyeonghaseyo. Hi, everyone. I'm Den. I'm one of the lead maintainers of MCP. Who here has not heard about MCP? Okay, that makes me feel a little better. My heart was racing coming on stage. Like, I wonder how many people here don't actually know about MCP. But I'm one of the maintainers of the MCP protocol. I work closely with David Sorayapara, DSP, who co-invented this. And as Dimitri said, I'm also working on Claude Code at Anthropic. So before today, actually, like when they asked me where do I want to deliver the keynote, Seoul was #1 on my list. I was like, at the moment I saw this, like I want to go to Seoul, that's for sure. But as I did that, I started thinking, what exactly do I want to talk about at this event? Because I did not want to disappoint anybody. I could talk about something technical, I could talk about the new spec that we released, but I thought like that could be a little boring for a keynote. So instead, I decided to talk about the 2 years of MCP. So it's hard to kind of imagine that just 2 years ago, MCP did not exist, right? If we look at this very important date, this is when Model Context Protocol was first released, first announced by Anthropic. And at the time, I don't think a lot of people recognize just kind of how important this change would be. Now, I titled this entire presentation 2 years of MCP, but if you do the math, you're kind of like, hold on, Dan, like November is not quite 2 years, so you're absolutely right. We're right now on day 625 of MCP's existence. So 625 days ago, you had to build everything by yourself, an entirely bespoke solution. If you wanted to have your LLM connect to any data or application, you'd have to write a bunch of custom code, but not anymore. However, MCP is such a project that it's actually never done. It's never complete. And nothing better encapsulates that than what DSP mentioned when he actually announced the protocol in Hacker News in 2024. And he basically said that we have a long way to go and much ground to cover. And he was, again, of course, absolutely right. Because MCP grew quite a bit from what it was first launched as. Now, if we kind of go back and kind of in time and use our little mental time machine and go like, what was MCP in 2024? It was actually fairly, I said, like, not bare bones, but fairly basic for what it actually solved, right? We had the specification, which is nothing other than a document that tells you how to work with MCP. There were 2 transports. There is STDIO, or standard input-output, for local MCP servers, and there was HTTP and SSE for remote. There were a whopping 2 SDKs that you could use, one for TypeScript, the other one for Python. There were some clients. I distinctly remember using Claude Desktop and just thinking like, wow, this is like magical, which again, in AI years, it's like 2 years ago, it's forever. And we had some reference implementations that allowed developers to kind of go and try out the protocol. So that was 2024. Since then, we had a whopping 5 releases of the specification. Every single one of them driven by community input, by input from folks such as yourselves in this room that made these releases happen. So less than 2 years, 5 releases of the spec. We swapped out a whole bunch of things, right? Like we improved the security, we added OAuth, we added support for client ID metadata documents to make it easier for folks to implement a lot of the OAuth pieces. And just with every single revision, we focused on making the developer experience easier. So we made it a little bit simpler for somebody to come in and build an MCP client, an MCP server, or any of those pieces. In my mind, though, as we kind of think through what exactly was the inflection point when MCP actually picked up traction, when it actually like it clicked with people that they realized like, yes, I want to put more effort in MCP. In my personal opinion, there were about 14 days in 2025. And they align pretty well with the March release, the second release of the MCP spec ever. Let's see how many of you know the names on the slide here. Does it ring a bell? Yeah. So when I saw these people tweet about this, it's like, okay, now we're picking up that traction. Now the industry is getting it. It's not just a community of enthusiasts that realize that MCP is a thing. We actually had people that saw the release of the March spec last year, again, slightly more than a year ago, and said, yes, we're going to put developers, we're going to put effort into that, which was huge. Like these 14 days, I think, were formative in actually convincing the industry that you have to put the backing behind MCP. With that, all of that work since then led us to about 2 weeks ago, when we launched the latest version of the spec, and Demetrius and I were kind of riffing behind the stage, and we're like, yeah, man, we should not call it 2026-07-28. That's too long. It's just MCP 2.0. It is the biggest release of MCP since that original spec that launched in November of 2024. With this spec, we got rid of a whole bunch of cruft, things like sessions the developers no longer need to handle. So if you ever thought, can I deploy an MCP server on AWS Lambda? Well, now you can. Can you put it in Cloudflare Workers? Now you can. All of these pieces landed literally weeks ago, and we're seeing so much positive reception for it. And especially for one thing that folks loved across the board is that the new MCP spec actually introduces a vehicle for us to test things quickly and easily, and that is extensions. If you've ever heard about MCP apps, that's an extension. Tasks, that's an extension. Enterprise Managed Auth, that's an extension. This is a way for us to basically try things out before we put them into the actual specification, so that all of the enterprises, all of the companies that adopt MCP, and by the way, that's actually one of the big changes that happened in the last, I want to say year, since those tweets that I was showing you, is that folks started treating MCP as the substrate for agentic workflows, right? Like, it's not just a toy open source project that is out there that somebody's like, oh, it would be kind of neat to build something with MCP. It actually powers a lot of the enterprise workloads. And I don't think I need to convince anybody here that MCP has kind of entrenched itself as the protocol that is now embedded in some of the most known names that you've probably heard about. When I was actually traveling here, my wife and her family are big fans of Kakao, so they're using a lot of that. And apparently there's an MCP server for that. I learned that on the flight here. So it tells you that MCP started embedding itself into a lot of kind of the workflows that are very, very common in day-to-day and not just your biggest enterprises. But not just the companies is what I want to focus on. I actually thought, I was like, what is the indicator of MCP's growing success and adoption? And for a lot of that, it's not just the adoption in the industry, but also the general adoption in the developer ecosystem and the open source ecosystem. And I wanted to look at this chart here. It shows you kind of the downloads for the only 3 of the SDKs, for Python, TypeScript, and C#. It grew 13 times since the exact same time last year. We're at 500 million downloads a month. Like, it blew my mind when I looked at this chart, because at first when I had kind of Claude dig through a bunch of GitHub data, and I was like, this can't be right. Like, surely there's a mistake. No, it's not. What puts it even more in perspective is the cumulative downloads. If instead of we're looking per month, we're going to look at this kind of the aggregate view, and we're at 3.06 billion downloads total for those 3 SDKs only, by the way. And the acceleration, notice that like last July we were at 108 million. The whole billion marks were hit this year. 1 billion in March, 2 billion in June, 3 billion in like this August, just like a few days back. 28 times more than July of last year. Like, this is huge. The registry, the open source registry where folks can come in and just list their MCP servers to make it easily discoverable for anybody, is at more than 20,000 entries, 45 times more than what we launched in September. This can be like a bit of a cheating metric here because we only start in September, but nonetheless, like, I have 20,000 MCP servers that are out there for anybody to discover. Not only that, but I was thinking like, okay, but surely if we look at kind of just the general GitHub metrics for developers, there's going to be a different indicator. And just across the board, we have been growing across the entire spectrum of MCP open source repositories. We're at 184,000 GitHub stars, as vanity metric as that is. I know a lot of folks think like stars don't matter, and sure they don't, but nonetheless, it's an indicator of visibility to me. Across the board, we've been almost doubling for every one of them. The number of unique committers to any of those repositories is more than 2,500 people. 2,500 people contributing to MCP. That includes all of you here in this room that make it possible. So it certainly is picking up a lot of traction. It certainly is picking up a lot of visibility, and kind of we see that in the developer ecosystem across the board, across enterprises, nonprofits, education, small companies, big companies, you name it. And of course, the number of forks has also been doubling across the board. So we are encouraged by the fact that we see so many folks that want to give back to the community. They want to iterate on SDKs. They want to iterate on the spec itself. Lastly, remember how I mentioned at the very beginning that when the spec first launched, we had 2 SDKs? It was Python and TypeScript. Yeah, we don't have 2 anymore. There's 10. And we have them for every major platform now. So if you're developing with Go, Kotlin, Swift, Rust, like we have those SDKs. And what's awesome about them is that for a lot of the work that's being done here, it's actually fully sponsored by companies that are deeply invested in this developer ecosystem. Like the Go SDK is built by folks at Google. The C# SDK, the folks at Microsoft, like Kotlin is JetBrains. So we have this kind of official support. And as this grows, as this entire ecosystem just blooms, which again makes me very, very excited to see how we are kind of picking up the pace here, I also see that the changes that the community is making are also growing month over month. Just last month, we merged like across the board 736 pull requests and solved more than 600 issues. And that is only accelerating. Like this is only going to go up. So all that being said, I think I would be remiss not to mention the fact that all what I just talked about, the growth of MCP, the adoption, the feedback, all that drives it would not be possible without the MCP community, without folks such as yourself, without the companies that you work for, the communities that you represent. So I am incredibly, incredibly grateful for every single one of you for making it here, being at this awesome event, and making MCP what it is today, because it would not be possible without all of you. So thank you, 감사합니다, and if you have any feedback, find me after this. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. I feel like I introduced the idea and maybe wasn't as articulate with it. Den just brought it home and showed those graphs and really proved the point. It's so cool to see all that energy. All right, next up, we have a keynote speaker that is lead project manager at the Linux Foundation, but she is also an AIF ambassador. And remember how I mentioned we have some more ambassadors in the room? If the ambassadors are in here, can you just raise your hand real fast? You can look around the room, see some of these ambassadors. There's some in the back. I see them standing. So if you have any questions for the ambassadors, hit them up. All right, so let's bring onto the stage Anna to talk about how open source program office practices can help organizations adopt MCP in production. Give a big round of applause for Anna Jimenez. Woo! This is yours.
So I hope that during this event we talk a lot about MCP as the open protocol and also as a specification. But in today's session, I want to look into the organizational angle and what happens when organizations start implementing MCP servers and other items into their internal systems. Because when that happens, there are several questions. Some of them there are even non-technical raising. So for instance, which MCP servers do we trust? Who maintains the open source components behind it? How do we track security issues? Are we ensuring conformance? And when the project becomes key in organizations, how do we do a strategy to contribute back or to engage with the open community around it? So in the past, and currently as well, Many organizations are tackling these issues from the software world through open source program offices or teams dedicated to manage open source strategy in the operations, being this linchpin between open ecosystems and the organization internal processes. And today I want to explore why their skills may be useful in MCP adoption and the broader agentic AI ecosystems. Because right now, MCP might be just one part of the whole agentic AI, but we know from the Agentic AI Foundation that we're becoming a huge ecosystem. For instance, we have Goose, which provides agent runtime around the model, coordinates tools, workflows. Of course, we have MCPs that connects AI applications. We have the A2A that is not under Agentic AI Foundation so far, but it's also a Linux foundation, and it's governed through a neutral community to focus on communication between agents. We have agents.md. So these open source strategy questions that organizations think about when implementing in the agentic AI ecosystems get bigger than MCP itself. And those questions might become more and more important as these organizations uses these stack pieces and moves to our production. I'm going to be really quick on this because we already see an amazing keynote sharing like the evolution. But what I want you to focus is that now we're starting moving towards experimentation, from experimentation to production. And I'm not just talking about the traditional AI software companies. I'm talking about also other industries like automotive, retail, companies that are also starting prototyping with MCPs, with SDKs and servers. And they're also wanted to use even for their internal teams or for their products. So the questions start also becoming wider and moves into, can we trust, and how do we engage strategically in the stack we are building with these pieces? So the questions, as I mentioned, start to change and to be more wider. So in the prototype, it's more about like, okay, can I make this work? But now, if you're trying to implement this into the organization's internal systems that already exist, there are several other questions, like how can I enforce policies? What infrastructures I'm depending on? Are we creating a new forms of locking, or are we avoiding locking by implementing an open protocol or an open ecosystem? So there isn't just one mechanism that answers all of these questions, but we can start breaking them down. As one simple example that I keep hearing also from open source program offices in organizations, MCP is giving us a common specification on how systems communicate. But just having a specification doesn't mean that the implementation, we will behave exactly the same way. And that is why there is an ongoing topic around conformance. And if we can check that different implementations actually behave the way the specification expects. And the community is already working on this. There is an official conformance repository. But I think that this is an interesting example where OSPO skills can be valuable, because in the software supply chain, OSPOs have been working with legal teams, with engineering teams, with platform teams to tackle all these open source components and help with the conformance as one of the other many skills. And we have seen, for instance, these and a similar organizational pattern with OpenChain in the software supply chain. For those who doesn't know, OpenChain is also a Linux Foundation project, and they were focused on a different area. They are focusing on bringing international standards, like ISO standards, in the whole software supply chain, so organizations can implement that kind of conformance and implement open source in their software supply chain and analyze and trust and manage this software supply chain. So my take here is, of course, MCP is a different field, and I'm not saying that we need to replicate that, but perhaps that organizational skill that open source program offices already have, and the teams behind that with that open source and open ecosystem participation and engagement expertise can be transferred in helping organizations and the platform teams, security teams, and legal teams to take that open standard and make part on how it actually operates. And I'm not saying something that is just in the future. Actually, we are tackling this. We are trying to see if organizations are already doing something with that. This comes from a preliminary data of a survey we are conducting with Linux Foundation Research. And this is the state of the OSPO we do every year. And this year we are focusing on a specific section on AI governance. And we ask basically to those organizations with an OSPO, are you doing something with AI governance? Are you taking decisions? Is your organization asking you questions on that field? And it's really interesting because 35% of those organizations with OSPOs are already co-leading or leading AI governance initiatives, and 44% are participating in discussions around AI governance. So as MCP and other agent infrastructure enter into productions, there can be already an organizational function that can be take advantage, that companies and organizations can take advantage into these conversations. So my take here is that traditionally, OSPOs have been helping organizations to understand the open source ecosystem they depend on through projects, libraries, packages, and collaborating with the security and platform teams to bring that open source strategy. And now there is another opportunity for organizations to depend to know how to manage MCP servers, SDKs, frameworks, runtimes, tools, and APIs. So this is a big opportunity for the whole agentic AI ecosystems. And my last take is that, yes, open protocols has given us an interoperability layer, but perhaps now the next frontier to scale this adoption and have more organizations across different industries implementing this is operational trust. And last but not least, think about that. Think about that governance and strategy layer that should be working also around execution control, provenance, and predictability. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Anna. All right, we're going to keep it rocking and rolling. We are going to have our next speaker, Jihye, come up here. And this hopefully will be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be in Korean. So if you're tired of hearing me speak all weird and having to translate, this will be a little easier on your ears. Folks, let's give it up for Jihye. She's a back-end engineer at Naver Cloud, and she's going to talk a little bit about automating MCP server creations. I'm excited to hear this talk. Give it up. This is yours. Thank you.
안녕하세요. 저는 네이버 클라우드에서 백엔드 개발을 하고 있는 김지혜입니다. 오늘은 저희가 MCP를 다뤄보면서 겪었던 이야기를 하려고 합니다. 네이버 클라우드 플랫폼은 CSP로 많은 클라우드 서비스를 제공하고 있습니다. 사용자는 클라우드 서비스를 사용하기 위해서 콘솔 화면에 접근해서 서비스들을 각각 이해하고 가이드도 숙지해야 합니다. 이제는 AI 시대인 만큼 자연어로 편리하게 클라우드를 사용하고 싶었습니다. 그러기 위해선 모든 클라우드 서비스가 MCP 서버를 제공해야 합니다. 저희는 오픈된 API와 내부 API 개수가 총 10,000개가 넘습니다. 이 모든 것을 각 팀마다 직접 개발을 하게 되면 시간과 비용이 매우 많이 들고 품질도 제각각일 것을 우려했습니다. 우선 서비스들의 MCP를 하나하나 직접 만들어 봤습니다. 직접 만들어 보니 결과물은 좋았지만 속도가 매우 느렸고 남은 서비스들이 매우 많았습니다. 그래서 그 다음으로는 오픈 API 스펙 기반으로 MCP 서버를 자동 변환되도록 시도해 봤습니다. 생성 속도는 빨랐지만 AI의 툴 선택 정확도가 좋지 않았습니다. 원인은 단순히 API 스펙 기반으로 MCP 서버를 만들었기 때문입니다. API 스펙은 여러분이 디스크립션이 비어 있거나 자세한 내용은 문서를 참조하세요 등으로 작성되어 있었습니다. 사람은 여러 가지 문서와 콘솔에 들어가서 직접 파악해 볼 수 있고 다양한 방법으로 맥락을 파악할 수 있지만 AI는 API 스펙에 의존된 디스크리션만 봤기 때문에 툴 선택 정확도가 좋지 못했던 것입니다. 그렇다고 해서 기존 API 스펙들을 재정의한다면 너무 많은 비용이 발생할 것입니다. 그래서 그 다음은 AI에게 오픈 API 스펙과 가이드 문서를 함께 주고 MCP 서버를 생성해 달라고 했습니다. 대부분 잘 구현했지만 설명이 모호하거나 잘못된 인자로 작성되어 있었습니다. 그리고 API 변경에 따라 MCP 서버도 변경해야 하는데 재생성할 때마다 매번 다른 방식으로 구현되었습니다. 그래서 일단 MCP 서버를 생성하는 것을 잠시 중단하고 좋은 MCP 서버는 무엇인가에 대한 고민을 하기 시작했습니다. 고민 끝에 품질 좋은 MCP 서버를 쉽게 만들 수 있는 제너레이터를 만들었습니다. MCP 제너레이터는 품질 평가 시스템과 AI 기반 코드 시스템으로 구성되어 있습니다. 품질 평가표는 API 스펙대로 잘 구현되었는지, 디스크립션 내용이 적절한지, 위험한 코드는 없는지 등등에 대해 평가합니다. 그리고 동일한 인증 방식과 동일한 서버 구조로 생성되기 위해서 예제 레퍼런스를 만들고 템플릿화했습니다. 이 템플릿과 오픈 API 스펙 그리고 가이드를 토대로 AI가 MCP 서버를 생성하도록 했습니다. 생성된 결과물은 품질 평가 시스템으로 채점되었습니다. 그 채점 결과의 점수와 근거가 내부 기준에 못 미친다면 재생성하는 반복되는 과정을 거쳐서 점점 좋은 MCP 서버를 쉽게 만들 수 있었습니다. 제너레이터를 고도화하는 사이에 AI가 발전하고 MCP 빌더 스킬이 등장했습니다. 제너레이터 없이도 잘 만들어진 스킬 파일 하나면 품질 좋은 MCP 서버를 빠르게 만들 수 있었던 겁니다. 그래서 저희의 고민 포인트도 달라졌습니다. 좋은 MCP 서버는 무엇인가에서 어떻게 많은 MCP 서버들을 잘 사용하게 할까로 고민 포인트가 변경되었습니다. 단지 사용자는 자연어로 편하게 클라우드를 사용하고 싶었을 뿐인데 AI 에이전트에 수많은 MCP 도구를 직접 등록하고 관리해야 합니다. 그래서 게이트웨이가 필요합니다. MCP 게이트웨이는 많은 MCP 서버들을 한 곳에서 관리하고 단 하나의 MCP 도구로 클라우드의 모든 서비스를 사용할 수 있도록 하는 플랫폼입니다. 예를 들어 클라우드 환경에서 트래픽이 분산되는 웹 서비스를 실행해줘 라고 요청한다고 해봅시다. 게이트웨이가 없었다면 해당 요청과 관련된 모든 서비스들의 MCP들을 등록해야 합니다. 하지만 게이트웨이 덕분에 단 하나의 MCP만 등록을 하면 됩니다. MCP 게이트웨이는 MCP 서버 생성 및 등록, 그리고 호출 제한 등 다양한 기능들이 있습니다. 내부 요소로는 호출된 요청을 인증하고 툴을 찾고 등록된 서버로 전달합니다. 그 과정에서 위험하고 민감한 정보들은 필터링하고 요청 기록을 저장합니다. 여러 요소들 중에 특히 인증과 툴 서치에 대해 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 네이버 클라우드 플랫폼은 액세스 키와 시크릿 키로 사용자를 식별합니다. MCP 도구를 사용하기 위해선 이 키 정보를 AI에게 넘겨야 합니다. 이는 보안적으로 매우 위험합니다. 클라우드 키는 단순한 기능이 아니고 계정 전체에 대한 권한이기 때문이죠. 이 키가 잘못 활용되면 운영 중인 서버가 삭제되거나 데이터가 유출되거나 과금이 발생할 수 있습니다. 이를 해결하기 위해서 게이트웨이는 프라이베이트 CA를 활용합니다. 게이트웨이는 인증서만 내부에 저장하고 클라우드 키는 저장하고 있지 않습니다. 사용자는 클라우드 키와 전혀 관련 없는 단지 게이트웨이만을 사용하기 위한 정보만 가지고 있습니다. 게이트웨이는 저장된 내부 인증서를 통해 IM 서비스인 서버 어카운트로부터 임시키를 발급받습니다. 발급된 임시키로 MCP 서버에 인증을 하고 서버 어카운트의 트러스트 앵커, 프로파일, 롤 등으로 권한 체계를 설정할 수 있습니다. 사용자가 설정한 클라우드 권한 체계를 MCP 게이트웨이는 그대로 따릅니다. 이렇게 클라우드 키 정보를 외부에 노출하지 않고도 AI 환경에서 안전하게 사용할 수 있습니다. 앞서 API가 10,000개가 넘는다고 했는데요. 이 많은 것들을 AI 에이전트에 그대로 노출하면 컨텍스트 용량이 부족할 뿐만 아니라 엉뚱한 툴을 선택할 수 있습니다. 그래서 게이트웨이는 딱 2개의 툴만 노출합니다. 2개의 툴만 보여주는데 어떻게 10,000개 이상의 기능을 AI가 사용할 수 있을까요? 예를 들어 내 서버들을 보여줘 라고 요청하면 내 서버라는 단어를 클라우드 서비스 용어인 서버 인스턴스로 바꿔줍니다. 그리고 시멘틱 검색을 통해 적절한 MCP 툴 몇 개를 추출해서 AI에게 응답합니다. AI는 그중 만든 툴을 게이트웨이로 호출합니다. 특히 게이트웨이는 적절한 MCP 툴을 추출하는 과정에서 여러 가지 시도를 해봤습니다. 키워드 매칭 방식인 BM25 방식과 의미가 가까운 것을 찾는 임베딩 방식, 그리고 그 둘을 혼합한 하이브리드 방식으로 비교해봤습니다. 같은 방식으로 결과를 비교하기 위해 질문과 정답을 미리 정해둔 데이터셋을 만들었습니다. 이것을 골든셋이라고 부릅니다. 그 골든셋 항목 중 정답을 찾아낸 히트율을 비교했고 임베딩 방식이 가장 히트율이 높았습니다. 이렇게 AI에게 다 저희의 툴들을 보여주지 않으면서도 모든 클라우드의 서비스를 필요한 순간에 찾을 수 있었습니다. 저희의 시작은 클라우드를 AI 환경에서 편하게 사용하고 싶다였습니다. 다양한 방식으로 MCP를 만들어 보면서 좋은 MCP는 무엇인가에 대한 고민으로 평가표도 만들어 보고 제너레이터도 만들었습니다. 하지만 AI의 빠른 발전 속도가 저희의 고민을 바꿨습니다. 잘 만드는 것도 중요하지만 잘 전달하는 것도 중요하다는 것을요. 쏟아지는 결과물을 어떻게 연결해서 사용자에게 잘 전달하게 할 것인가에 대한 고민으로 게이트웨이를 만들었습니다. 만들고 연결하는 것만이 저희의 끝은 아닙니다. 이러한 저희의 과정들이 비로소 사용자의 쓰임으로 완성될 것이기 때문입니다. 이것이 저희의 다음 여정입니다. 감사합니다.
Hey, all right, folks. we've reached the end of this specific section. Before we go, I would love it, because I'm making a video for my daughter of being here in Seoul. And so if you could all just wave real fast, I'm going to do a little selfie video with everyone in it. Hello. Excellent. That was so much participation. I love it. Thank you all for this. And by the way, Den and I are having a competition who gets the most business cards, so feel free. Give me as many as possible. Don't forget the reception dinner tonight, or the reception party. And that's it for now. Go have some fun, meet some cool people. We'll see you all in a bit. Bye.